We are Team RCB, and we're going to dive right in. Today, we're going to offer up 2 hypotheses. We're going to prove that out with data and then provide recommendations to Procter & Gamble.
We began our study with interviewing 2 people, Sarah and Michael. They're highly educated, in their mid-30s, and have 2 children each. What we learned, the first thing we learned from the interviews is that you are your own expert. When you become a new parent, the opportunity arises where in which you have to gain new information from your environment. But it's important, you're going to get information from all sorts of people. The number 1 task in this situation is to learn how to become your own expert in working with your child. The second part we learned is that these people are heavy internet users, meaning that if they need to find something about their how to deal with diaper rashes, how to deal with behavioral problems, they look to support groups, and they use that to help make decisions with marketing products. In fact, they often use social proof, meaning that when faced with a decision, purchasing decision dilemma, what do? Well, they look to others to see what constitutes as they look to see what other people do as social evidence, social proof, and making it their own product decision. Also, they rely on tried and true products. That is, for P&G, loyalty is your friend. We also found that they are sensitive to promotions, and also we're very interested in sample pack products. That being said, we derived 2 hypotheses from these interviews. Number 1, new parents prefer convenience more than non-parents. And number 2, new parents exhibit brand loyalty over sensitivity to price.
So starting to prove out hypothesis number 1 about convenience is preferable to new parents, we started to look at the data. And what we saw right away was a move towards internet and big box retailers to prove out that convenience. We also saw something else. We started to see a bifurcation between those without children and those with children in their purchasing habits. And we also proved out that young children still don't like their vegetables. What you have here is a bubble chart comparing purchases to a new metric we created as part of our modeling called unit price. We took the net spend divided by volume to try and get at how different categories perform. And again, our hypothesis number 2 deals with pricing volatility versus brand loyalty. And we saw right away that there was a lot of volatility throughout the year. So we double-clicked into that. And what we found is when we go to the category level, some interesting items. First, on the left, we have dental floss. This is a product, of course, that pretty much all households are going to buy. And we see a very tightly packed pricing throughout the year with that category. However, when we move to, for instance, changing mat, which is a new parent-oriented category, we start to see that new parents are buying those mats at all sorts of prices, a much wider range than a non-child household would. We think this feeds our hypothesis number 2 that brand loyalty supersedes seeking price as they go to market. So we wonder, is there possibly some money being left on the table? In terms of modeling, we used a light GBM model, and we achieved what we felt were very strong results given the data set. We were at 44.2%. But harkening back to hypothesis number 2, are they brand loyal? We found when we started to look at the individual components and features of our model that in fact that was the case. You see at the top there, subcategory and sub-brand were our 2 largest factors in the output from our model. We also went down a path to provide product recommendations based on different types of households. What you have here are non-children households compared to those households with a new child. And what we see right off the bat is they're purchasing different subcategories and they're purchasing different brands. Even in areas where they're purchasing the same subcategory, we find that there's a much different brand blend for the new moms. So drilling into this a little bit further, we have here on the left the non-child households, and you see a much larger proliferation of brands that they are pursuing in the marketplace. However, once they have a child, you see a much more compact series of brands that they're pursuing. This, to us, again, supports our hypothesis that brand loyalty might supersede pricing pursuits by new parents. Lastly, going back to the concept of potentially leaving money on the table, in the red, you see Procter & Gamble's share of some key categories for new moms. And what we found was there's tremendous growth potential. So our hope is to pursue further data to start to figure out how we can attack that market share. So in the end, we felt that we were able to prove out hypothesis one, which is that new parents are seeking convenience. We also, again, felt that we were able to prove out that brand loyalty supersedes pricing pursuits. We still found that new moms compared to what we call pro moms, those with children 3 or older, it's still a little bit tricky to differentiate between the two. We would like to add additional data to allow our model to further segment those two groups. And then lastly, we would like to pursue growth potential in certain key new mom categories to increase market share. Thank you.